Hey everyone, it's Greta from Knitters and Critters, and I'm doing something a little bit different today. I'm going to be doing a highlight episode all about Exandria Unlimited Calamity. No surprise to you guys, I have been super excited for this mini series ever since they announced it. I think I had mentioned on one of our Knitters and Critters episodes that I was a little disappointed that the main third campaign didn't take place during the Calamity. So I'm really, really psyched for this little mini series. And damn, they have bitten off a lot. I'm not quite sure how they're going to get everything done in 4 episodes, but we'll wait and see. One of the things that I really loved about this episode was the way that Dungeon Master Brennan Lee Mulligan explained everything. The setting of this floating city of Avalir is unlike, I think, anything that we've seen on Critical Role so far. And that was obviously done very intentionally. There's this sense of Avalir as being this place where magic and science are like almost interchangeable. Like everything is so advanced. And and that's really striking because we all know that this place takes place very, very far back in Exandria's history. And, normally we think of something as ancient as being primitive, but that's not the case in the Age of Arcanum. Arguably, they're more advanced there than they are in the current campaign, which I don't even know how many centuries separates the two, but it's a long span of time, and I'm just loving it so much. It feels like this could easily be an Avengers property. Like we could easily have seen this world in Guardians of the Galaxy somewhere, and I'm loving it. It's so so cool. One of the other things I really like about this miniseries so far is that the characters are all starting out pretty high level. They're all level 14, I believe, and it kind of is a departure for Critical Role. Normally, they start off pretty low level, if not just like level 1. But level 14 not only gives the characters access to some pretty kick ass abilities, but it also meant that the DM had all of the voice actors come together and create history with one another before cameras started rolling. So you don't have to swim through however many episodes of like getting to know you phase. Like these people already know each other. They're high level, they know what they're doing, they already have established history between one another. And even though we as an audience haven't seen all that history, it's still really evident in the way each character interacts with one another. So, just a quick rundown of who is who in Exandria Unlimited Calamity. Xerxes Alares is played by Luis Carrazzo. He's like the mandatory hashtag sad boy of the group, it seems. He's this battle hardened human paladin, of all things, which is interesting because Avalir, and I think pretty much worldwide, with the exception of Vasselheim, like religion means nothing to them at this point of time. And Xerxes' character is kind of not the pinnacle of this because he doesn't seem especially like devout, oddly, in his belief that the gods are nothing more than just really powerful individuals. But his powers are divine in nature, but he doesn't owe any allegiance to any of the gods of Exandria. So his character is going to be really interesting. He's, like I said, he's got the Liam role of tragic backstory. His husband is dead. He has a son who he's estranged from, and he's just trying to like make it day by day and get out of bed. And he's been having these really terrible nightmares about a betrayer god being struck from the sky, and the whispered words Gordranus kind of echo through these dreams. So his character is definitely angsty, but we love that in a Critical Role character. Next up is Loquacious Seeley, played by Sam Riegel. Loquacious is a changeling bard, and this he's like peak Sam Riegel. Like if you could bottle Sam Riegel and put him into a D&D campaign, this is just what he is. Loquacious is a broadcaster. He does the morning announcements that are magically transmitted all across the city, and he is very taken with himself. He's totally bought into the mythos of his own celebrity. And when people don't respect that, I guess, he gets a little thorny. And who should disrespect that more than his own ex-wife, who is Laren Cora Marciri, Sealy, excuse me, played by Abria Iyengar. She is back and playing a player this time around. She's an elf wizard who is responsible for the mechanical heart of this floating city of Avalir. It's her genius that basically keeps this ship floating. And she's an incredibly cerebral character. It makes me wonder how she and Loquacious like fell in love and got married. They're very much an odd couple. Like, I don't understand how they fell in love, but oh yeah, the divorce makes total sense to me. And Abria and Sam are just playing these parts beautifully. So far, there's only been like a few points where they've overlapped, but those points have been pure gold. The next person we meet is Nidus Okiro, played by newcomer Lou Wilson. He is a human sorcerer, a guild master. He seems like the guy that can get anyone anything, and that reputation might be causing him some trouble. He seems to be like, robbing Peter to pay Paul. He's really like juggling his accountant right now, and he got a visit from a mysterious magister of the city, someone he's never heard of, who was like, hey, I heard you're the guy to talk to about, scoring some surplus ether. And Nidus is immediately taken aback, and, not because he doesn't know what the guy is talking about, but because he's suspicious. So I don't know what Nidus is up to, but it doesn't feel completely legal. And he basically tells the guy, like, I don't know who you got this information from, but it's totally wrong. So yeah, we believe you, Nidus. Sure. The fifth character we meet is Cerrit Agrupnin. This is Travis Willingham's character as an Icefira rogue, of all things. I say that because Cerrit seems to be like a Sherlock Holmes type of character, an investigator who is looking into a missing persons case that was brought to them by the, I guess, High Council or whatever, the ruling body of Vasselheim. One of their mages seems to have gone dark and might be trying to ascend into godhood in the same way that the Raven Queen had done. She was a human person who, I suppose, in a way challenged the previous god of death and took his spot and became a god. And of course, mages being a particular breed of, self-centered, like to try to repeat this. And usually what happens is they become a smear on the wall. This is not what happened to Vespin Chloris. Something happened. There was some kind of arcane magical blast that destroyed a summoning circle in the middle of his laboratory and disenchanted indiscriminately all kinds of magical items. And that kind of has Cerrit on guard. So he takes one of the magical items and wants one of his friends to inspect it to find out more information. And that friend leads us to the last character, played by Marisha Ray. Her name is Paisha Porco. She is an elf and an elf wizard, And she is from Avalir's upper crust. Her grandfather was the mage that originally lifted the city of Avalir. It was once a terrestrial city at the top of a mountain. He lopped the top of the mountain off, got it floating in the air, and ta-da, you have Avalir. And that's basically Marisha's character. She seems to be the most political of the characters. She has close ties to the ruling body, the Septarian, obviously because her grandfather was the original one. And because of this, she has some personal inner face-to-face time with one of these city leaders, Eldamir the Wise, as well as his apprentice, Loris. And I like Paisha. She is very canny and very jaded and cynical, and she doesn't seem to take anything at face value. So while Eldamir's doing his like ancient old man routine, you can just kind of sense in the back of Marisha's mind thinking like, is this guy like really in his dotage, or is he just playing this up because there's a certain utility in pretending to be the frail old person? In the same way, you see some people play like the dumb blonde or the stupid jock when really they're clocking everything you say. I kind of get this feeling from Eldamir the Wise. And I'm like, oh, is he actually evil? Like, are he and Loris actually going to be responsible for the main thrust of the evil that happens, or are they in league with Vespin Chloris somehow? Because all roads seem to lead back to Vespin Chloris. Um, this impression was really heightened when Loris was like, "Hey, we heard there's some like investigation happening with some dude who was missing from Vasselheim. Could you like find that out for us? No, no big deal." Like, come on, alarm bells are blaring at this point. You leave the city. Eventually, you would have had the report on your desk. Why are you cutting corners now? Like, what's really happening? Um, Definitely seems like it's something on Paisha's mind. Um, but it's the replenishment. It's party time, and I really loved this whole campaign has been so unique. But because they're on a floating city, and I didn't even think about this, the city would be moving around Exandria. And it takes a long time to do one circuit all the way around the world. So they only come back to home base once every 7 years. So, like I said, this is big party time. There's a real big feeling of it being like Rome the night before Rome fell. Like, disaster is coming and no one's watching. There's no one driving the ship. Um, so they all go to a party, and we get to see the Ring of Brass, as all these characters are known, come together for the first time, and it's great. Even the mandatory awkwardness between Loquacious and Laren, which is only heightened by the peak Euro trash date that Loquacious brings with him. He's like, oh, she's just a friend, someone I got set up with. Well, you come with this lady who's basically like the Exandrian equivalent of a mail order bride from Aor who might also be a spy. Like, I don't know. There's something up with Bolo. Like, she might be pretty, she might be eye candy, but she might also be an assassin. We'll wait and see. Um, I digress. They're at this party, and they like investigate with Cerrit, and they talk about Xerxes's dreams, and dang, it makes me jealous to be that high of a level, because not only were they rolling well, but even the kind of like middling rolls ended up with investigation checks that were so high because they're at high levels, so they've got like high modifiers, and it makes me really jealous. But they learn all this information about Vespin Chloris, and it all, and Gordranus, and the dreams that Xerxes is having, it all seems to be like starting to shift them in the direction of, oh, there's something happening with the betrayer gods, and something is waking in Exandria, and Vespin Chloris is up to no good. And I'm so excited for this. We mentioned it in one of our earlier Knitters and Critters episodes that there was a theory going around that Vespin Chloris was who Vecna was before he, became Vecna. And I really think that this episode, maybe not completely like 100% tied it in a bow and said yes, but I mean, it seems pretty obvious. I really want to know from you all, like, what was your favorite part of the investigation checks? What was your favorite theory that's come out of this? What do you think Vecna is doing? Do you think he's trying to supplant one of the primordial gods? Because we learned from the Matron Queen's champion that he hadn't tried to unseat any of the prime deities. And if he didn't look up, did he look below? So if he's trying to unseat one of the primordial deities, what happens? Because wouldn't he theoretically be trapped just the way they are? Or maybe is he trying to find a way to release them and like get some of their power in a trade? I don't know. It's going to be so good. I can't wait to see it. But it does make me worry that they might have bitten off more than they can chew. Because it seems like just this whole idea of what Vespin Chloris is doing could legitimately take up all 4 of these episodes. But that's not what everyone is solely focused on. You have this whole side piece of, where's the leak in Nidus's like core group of people, something that he had mentioned to Paisha, and she agreed that like they've got a leak in their operation. Well, what's that about? And like how does that tie into the Vespin Chloris bit, or does it even? And then you have Laren, who's being super shady. She like takes this piece of celestial gold from Cerrit in his investigation into Vespin Chloris, and is like, oh yes, this is the last thing I need. Like she's up to something. And it seems like it might have to do with like interplanar travel. And I'm like, oh God, Laren, are you gonna try to pull a Raven Queen too? Like you've been waiting for this solstice to happen, and it seems like you're talking about traveling from one plane to another. Why? What are you up to, girl? So super worried, but super, super excited for episode 2, which is out tomorrow, June 2nd, or June 2 for the people in the know. Sorry, inside joke. I can't wait. I can't wait for it. Like I said before, hit me up in the comments. Let me know all of your theories, everything you thought. What was your favorite part? Who's your favorite character so far? I don't know if I have a favorite character. It might be Cerrit, just because I'd like to see his spin-off show where he's like Exandria and Sherlock Holmes. Anyway, thank you for tuning in to this kind of short episode of Knitters and Critters. Join us next time. In the meantime, please be sure to like and subscribe. We really appreciate it. And have a good day. Bye.